So my next countdown is gonna be about the practically top 25 first Disney movies released on DVD. But anyway, before I start, I'm gonna read you guys a brief history of the DVD format. The DVD common abbreviation for digital video disc or digital versatile disc is a digital optical disc data storage format. It was invented and developed in 1995 and first released on November 1, 1996 in Japan. The medium can store any kind of digital data and has been widely to store video programs while using DVD players, software, and other computer files. DVDs offer significantly higher storage capacity than computer disc CD. While having the same dimensions, a standard single-layer DVD can store up to 4.7 GB of data. A dual-layer DVD up to 8.5 GB. Dual-layer double-sided DVDs can store up to maximum of 17.8 GB. Released in 1987, CD video used analog video encoding on optical disc, matching the established standard 120 mm 4.7-inch size of audio CDs. Video CD VCD became one of the first formats for distributing digitally encoded films in this format. In 1993, in the same year, two new optical disc storage formats were being developed. One was the multimedia compact disc, MMCD, backed by Philips and Sony, developers of the CD and CDI, and the other was the super density SD disc, supported by Toshiba, Time Warner, Panasonic, Hitachi, Mitsubishi Electric, Pioneer, Thomson, and GVC. By the same time of the press launches for both formats in the year of January 1995, the MMCD nomenclature had been dropped and Philips and Sony were referring to their format as digital video disc, DVD. And in some way the first DVD release in the United States at least was the movie Twister, and I mentioned that like in a video that I have published before, so you guys can watch my video anytime on my YouTube channel. Now is Disney is an American film production company and subsidiary of Walt Disney Studios, a division of Disney Entertainment which is owned by the Walt Disney Company. The studio is the flagship producer of live-action feature films and animation within the Walt Disney Studios unit and is based at the Walt Disney Studios in Burbank, California. Animated film produced by Walt Disney Animation Studios and Pixar Animation Studios, different studio that was later bought by the Walt Disney Company, like I believe after Cars was released. Walt Disney was practically created by Walt Disney himself and his brother Roy Oliver, who wasn't a big fan of the cameras. That's why we don't hear about him a lot. But anyway, here I'm gonna start with the top 25 countdown of the first Disney movies ever released on practically DVD format. Top 25, The Tigger Movie. The Tigger Movie was practically released in February 11, 2000. So, it's a musical comedy drama film directed by John Falkenstein. It is the fourth movie in the Disney Winnie the Pooh franchise and the second one to get a theatrical release after the many adventures of Winnie the Pooh. The film features Pooh's friend Tigger in his search for his family. Three and other Tiggers like himself. As such, the storyline may be viewed as an allegory about an adoptee search to understand the meaning of family. The film was the first feature-length theatrical Pooh film to not be a collection of previously released shorts, which is the case with 1977, The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, and the first Lego Winnie the Pooh film produced by Disney Toon Studios. Thanks to its success, 3 more feature-length Pooh movies were released to theaters. Piglet's Big Movie in 2003, Pooh's Happy movie in 2005, both by Disney Toon Studios, and the 2011 American film. That's practically named, Winnie the Pooh. And it's in some way practically the last traditional animated film released by Disney. The film features original songs from the Sherman Brothers, the longtime Disney songwriting team, who are well known for their contributions to other Disney films such as Mary Poppins, Big Knobs and Broomsticks, and The Jungle Book, as well as the original Winnie the Pooh shorts. The film was originally slated for a direct-to-video release until Disney CEO Mike Eisner heard the Sherman Brothers score and decided to release the film in theaters worldwide. The movie was narrated by the late John Hart, who voiced the Horn King in The Black Cauldron. So the first DVD release of this movie was in August 22, 2000. Chapter 24, Buzz Lightyear: A Star Command, The Adventure Begins. So practically, the movie was released in August 8, 2000. So it's a direct-to-video film that was released by Disney and Pixar in some way. So this movie is practically in some way the pilot to the television series Buzz Lightyear: A Star Command. Technically, this movie inspired the existence of the Buzz Lightyear toyline that exists in the Pixar film series Toy Story. Tim Allen reprises his Toy Story role as the voice of Buzz Lightyear, as Stu Wallace, Sean, Arlie Ermey, Jeff Pigeon, and Joe Rance as Rex, Sarge, Squeeze Toy Aliens, and Wheezy, respectively. Rudy is voiced by Jim Hanks, the younger brother of the original voice actor, Tom Hanks, and Ham is voiced by Zer's original voice actor, Andrew Stanton, from Toy Story 2, instead of John Ratzenberger. When the movie was later edited into 3 episodes of the television show, the opening Andy Room sequence was removed, and Tim Allen's voice was replaced by the regular series voice actor for Buzz, Patrick Warburton. Originally, Warburton recorded all of Buzz's lines for the movie, but they were redubbed by Tim Allen instead. When the movie was released, the edited TV version uses Warburton's dialogue. The movie will later lead to a television series, Buzz Lightyear: A Star Command, which aired on the UPN Extinct channel that's now known as, the CW, because it merged with the WB. Anyway, so it also aired on ABC from 2000 to 2001. And years afterward, there was Toy Story 3, shorts of Toy Story were released, and even specials, and practically the so-called origin story of Buzz Lightyear, but the movie was meh. It suffered from a lot of problems, it was super repetitive. In comparison with this film, at least it actually had a storyline plot that was entertaining. Sure, it wasn't as good as the first 2 story films, but it's still good in its own way. And this movie was actually considered canon until Lightyear was released. Yeah, this is practically the only Pixar film that was practically released in 2D traditional animation. The series isn't that bad, like I say. It's actually pretty decent. Recommend you guys if you haven't watched it. So for many fans, it's still considered canon to the original franchise, and in some way, it does take place between the second movie and the third movie. That was obviously released years afterwards, and honestly, I should have ended with the third movie. The fourth movie was an abomination. I only like the opening, honestly, but afterwards, I don't know. No, hopefully they do fix the mistakes they did with the fourth, with the fifth film, but I really doubt it. And honestly, like, I believe they're gonna use a similar idea that was going to be used for like the second film. But you know, the second film was the original plot from the second film was scrap, you know? So accidentally they end up deleting the film, so they end up coming out with a different plot. You know? So yeah, it's crazy, you know. Top 23, an extremely goofy movie. So the movie was released in the year of 2000 in the month of February and in the day of 29. So it's a 2000 American direct-to-video animated comedy film made by Walt Disney Pictures, directed by Douglas McCarthy. It is the sequel to a Goofy movie featuring the return of characters from the television series Goof Troop. The story follows Mac's freshman year at college, which is once again compounded by his father's presence when Goofy arrives at the same college to get a degree. The film received mixed reviews but earned a slightly higher score on the Rotten Tomatoes, website. This is practically the final of the Goof Troop series, the series final, in some way, and the movie is pretty underrated, honestly. They knew years after that the movie existed, in some way, and the movie was first released on home video and DVD on February 29, 2000. Top 22. Tarzan, the 1999 film adaptation of Tarzan of the Apes, novel by Edgar Rice Burroughs, and is the only major film picture version of Tarzan properly to be animated. This version of Tarzan is practically considered to be like one of the best adaptations of the book, and it's practically like in some way the last major box office success of the Disney Renaissance era before the studio decline in the early to mid 2000s, sometimes known as Disney's second dark age. The honestly, like, when it was released on June 18, 1999, its production budget of $130 million made it the most expensive animated film ever made until it was dropped by Disney owned $140 million Treasure Planet in 2002. It was also the first Disney animated feature to open at first place at the North American box office since the Pocahontas 1995 film. So the film first DVD release was on February 1, 2000. And now about the film again. It's practically one of my favorite Disney films of all time. Both male and women will actually enjoy the film. And it's like super iconic, like practically one of the top 5 best Tarzan films ever made, you know? And so the film should be re-released on theaters. Honestly, I will like watching them theaters. And I did grow up with Spanish dub and original English version, you know? So in some way the film had like, an animated television series spin-off. Was decent, didn't live up to the hype of the original because of the animation design was lower. Plus, most of the actors, like with Tarzan, didn't reprise his role. And now with the prequel, it was also decent, but most of the actors didn't reprise the roles either. Now is the sequel, like. So those episodes were going to be used season 2, the animated series spin-off. But the spin-off got cancelled. Allegedly, it was cancelled because of lower ratings, and Disney was focusing towards live action and other animated films. Top 21 Inspector Gadget. Inspector Gadget is a 1999 live-action film based on the popular anime series of the same name that aired from the year of 1983 to the year of 1986. It starred Matthew Broderick as the title character, along with Rupert Everett as Dr. Claw and Michelle Trachtenberg as Penny. Two new characters were introduced: Brenda Bradford, played by Julie Fletcher, and the Gadget Moira, voiced by D.L. Hughley. The film was produced by Caravan Pictures, Dick Entertainment, and Walt Disney Pictures, and distributed by Buena Vista Distribution. It was filmed in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and Los Angeles, California, with the iconic Ice Castle-like main tower of PPG Place playing the central role. The film was a moderate financial hit. This was the last film produced by Caravan Pictures before it morphed into Spyglass Entertainment. The 1999 Inspector Gadget movie was first released on videotape and DVD on December 7, 1999. The music soundtrack of the film was composed by John Dibny, contains the singles All Star by Smash Mouth and I'll Be Your Everything by the boy band Youngstown. Filming principal photography began on July 22, 1998, and was wrapped on October 18, practically, the same year. Post-production: after a test meeting, the film was cut to 78 minutes from the original 110-minute version. So I hope we get like a release of the original version. Maybe it would have made the film better. Development: Universal Pictures at one point had an option on the film right to the animated television series. In 1993, Evan Reitman signed on to produce, with a script by Jeff Loeb and Matthew Weisman. Inspector Gadget moved to Disney when the film studio bought out Geek Entertainment. At one point, Peter and Bobby Farrelly were considered to write and direct. Disney eventually hired David Kellogg to direct, best known for The Adventures of Seinfeld and Superman, television commercials, and the Vanilla Ice film Cool as Ice. Stan Winston was responsible for the practical, animatronic, and makeup effects for the film. Top 20 is The Jungle Book, the 1967 animated musical adventure produced by Walt Disney Productions and released by Buena Vista Distribution, practically known nowadays as Walt Disney Studio Motion Pictures. Based very loosely on the Mowgli stories from Rudyard Kipling 1894 book of the same name. It is the final animated feature film to be produced by Walt Disney, who died during its production. It was directed by Wolfgang Wiederman and written by Larry Clemons, Ralph Wright, Ken Anderson, and Vance Gary, featuring the voices of Bill Harris, Sebastian Cabot, Lois Prima, George Sanders, and Sterling Holloway. The film's plot follows Mowgli, a feral child raised in the Indian jungle by wolves, as a friends Bagheera the panther and Baloo the bear try to convince him to leave the jungle before the ruthless tiger Shere Khan arrives. So practically the first DVD release was issued on December 7, 1999 for a limited time. And then it was re-released once again on DVD, but this time not for limited time, and it was on January 15, 2002. Top 19. The Little Mermaid is practically released on the year of 1989, and it's like an American animated musical fantasy film produced by Walt Disney Feature Animation in association with Silver Screen Partners for and released by Walt Disney Pictures. It is loosely based on the 1837 Danish fairy tale The Little Mermaid by Hans Christian Andersen. The film was written and directed by John Musker and Ron Clements and produced by Musker and Howard Ashman, who also wrote the film songs with Alan Menken, who also composed the film score, featuring the voices of Renee Auberjonois, Christopher Daniel Barnes, Jodie Benson, Pat Carroll, Patty Edwards, Buddy Hackett, Jason Marine, Kenneth Mars, Ben Wright, and Samuel E. Wright. The Little Mermaid tells the story of a teenage mermaid princess named Ariel who dreams of becoming human and falls in love with a human prince named Eric, which leads her to make a magic deal with the sea witch Ursula to become human and be with him. And in some way, the first DVD release was on December 7, 1999. And the film started the Renaissance era of Disney, and it was a complete success. They ended up becoming like super iconic, and it had like a prequel and a sequel. And this is practically the first Disney princess that ever has a child, and it was a daughter. And the movie also had like a animated TV series spinoff. Now it's Jodie Benson. She's a well-known voice actress. Honestly, her voice is super iconic and unique. Disney had the right choice to pick her because not only she knows how to act, she knows how to sing, and practically this film is super iconic. Top 18. The Lion King 2, Simba's Pride, is a 1998 American animated direct-to-video musical drama film produced by Walt Disney Video Premiere. It is the sequel to Disney's 1994 animated film The Lion King, with its plot influenced by William Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet, and also the anime that Disney didn't give credit, but they were exposed, a couple of years ago, of practically kind of copying or plagiarizing Kimba the White Lion. So I'm not hating on the film because I grew up with it, but we have to be real about it, So about this film now, it's okay. Actually, is one of the sequels that's actually okay. It's not the best, but it still makes sense, in comparison with the prequel of The Fox and the Hound. So the movie was first released on DVD on November 23, 1999 for a limited of time. And I know already that a lot of people hate on this movie, but I don't hate it at all. I think it's actually quite decent. Not the best film ever, not the best sequel ever, and yes, Disney could have done a better job with the sequel, but it wasn't as bad as, like I say, the mid prequel of The Fox and the Hound, you know? I don't hate the other film either, but it would have worked better as an original film instead of an already established production. Top 17. The Lady and the Tramp. So, The Lady and the Tramp is a 1955 American animated romance film produced by the Walt Disney Production. It premiered on June 16, 1955, and was originally released to theaters on June 22 by Buena Vista Film Distribution, making it the first Disney animated film not to be distributed by RKO Radio Pictures. The 15th animated feature in the Disney animated canon, it was the first animated feature film in the CinemaScope widescreen film process. The story, which was based on the book Happy Dawn, The Whistling Dog by Ward Green, centers on a female American Cocker Spaniel named Lady who lives with a refined upper middle class family and a male street mutt named Tramp. A direct-to-video sequel, Lady and the Tramp 2: Scamp's Adventure, was released in 2001. While not a smashing hit at first, it is now considered one of the Disney's greatest classics. Actually, not really, you know. So, the Disney sequels are actually hated, you know. The only one that was actually praised was The Rescuers Down Under. So, the first DVD release was on November 23, 1999. Now is my opinion about the film. The film is obviously one of the best Disney films ever made. And the live action movie unfortunately didn't live up to the hype of the original animated film. Honestly, the best thing from the sequel that also didn't live up to the original, it was that in some way Julie Benton actually sounded like Lady's original voice actress, Barbara Ludi. I really did watch the live action remake, and what I can say about the live action remake is that they remove all the magic that made the original so good. There were so many moments that they honestly like cut. So yeah, for me, the original is still the best, and the remake, like, not that good. Plus, they overused the CGI. It looks super unrealistic compared with the original. You know? Plus, not everybody knew that the movie was released. All because it was released on Disney Plus. You know? When Disney Plus first came out in late of 2019, and you're actually able to get an account for free, or you're actually able to get like a free trial. Nowadays, you're not able to do it, just like with Netflix and HBO Max. Top 16. 101 Dalmatians. 101 Dalmatians is a 1961 American animated comedy adventure film produced by Walt Disney and based on the novel of the same name by Dodie Smith. The 17th film in the Disney animated canon, it was originally released to theaters on January 25, 1961, distributed by Buena Vista Picture Distribution. So in some way, the movie was first released on DVD on the year of November 9, 1999. And in some way, Walt Disney himself hated the film. He didn't like it. He didn't like the animation style and character design. You know, the movie is super iconic. You know, one of the best films ever made. It was so successful that it spawned 2 live action movies and a sequel and 2 animated films and obviously games that were released. And let's not forget about the other film, the Cruella de Vil live action standalone film, you know? Or standalone prequel film that in some way like doesn't live to the hype of the original or even the first live action remake. And Emma Stone honestly didn't live up to Glenn Close's portrayal of Cruella de Vil. She wasn't that good in my opinion. And the film stars Rod Taylor as the voice of Pongo, Kate Barr as the voice of Perdita, and Betty Lou Gerson as the voice of the villainess Cruella de Vil. The plot centers on the fate of Pongo and Perdita's 15 Dalmatian puppies after they were dogged by the villainous Cruella de Vil, who wants to kill them for their fur. Top 15. Peter Pan. Peter Pan is a 1953 animated feature film of the same name as the main character from the movie. And there was a sequel, released in the year of 2002 named Return to Neverland. Peter travels from the enchanted island of Neverland all the way to London just to hear Wendy Darling's spin tales about him and his adventure. While his ego may seem inflated at times, even his arch nemesis Captain Hook knows that Peter's no ordinary boy. He can fly without wings and smash Hook's cutlass with nothing more than a dagger. He is also the disputed leader of the Lost Boys and allows no breaks in the ranks. Time makes little difference to him when you never grow up. Life is nothing but fun, whimsy, and adventure. Peter Pan is a young boy who lives in the island of Neverland. He has a fairy friend called, Tinkerbell, who is his best friend and sidekick. He is the current leader of the Lost Boys. He spends most days going on adventures and battling the notorious Captain Hook. So practically, Peter Pan was first released on November 23, 1999, and it was a limited issue. So, in some way, back in 1999, Disney released some movies for only a limited time, and it was only for 60 days. So practically only for 2 months. And yeah, most of this, yeah, the DVDs you're still able to find them, for like an affordable price on online. Top 14. Mulan. Mulan is an animated film released in 1998. Mulan is practically, a strong, wild, and tenacious daughter of a war veteran who strives to uphold her family honors. When her father is called back into battle to defend China from Shan Yu, Mulan opts to protect him by taking his place under the disguise of a male soldier named Ping. Mulan is inspired by the legendary Hua Mulan. She is the 8th official Disney princess, the only one not to be of royal lineage, either by birth or marriage. She's the last Disney princess to be developed during the Disney Renaissance era and also from the 20th century. So, in some way, Mulan was first released on DVD on November 9, 1999. And now is Mulan, my opinion about the movie. Obviously, one of the best Disney movies ever made and released, especially because even a male can connect with this movie. Not like with Frozen, or these modern Disney films. And yeah, like unfortunately the live action remake didn't live up to the hype of the original. Plus in some way there were some controversy going on with the protagonist of the live action remake. The other thing is that where the movie was filmed, it was like near some concentration camps in China. So Disney got criticized because of that. And have I seen the film? Yes, and it looks super unrealistic, uninspiring, and honestly, it wasn't as good as the original. For me, I will stick with the original. Let's not forget about the sequel. You know, um, oh my god, the sequel could have been better. You know, the best thing from the sequel can be like the animation design. It was practically quite similar to the original, and yeah, like for me, the sequel should have been like an animated series spinoff. I think it would have worked better. You know, and the portrayal of Mulan in Once Upon a Time, in my opinion, was better than the portrayal of the live action actress. You know, from the live action remake. Top 13. Hercules. Hercules is a 1997 animated feature film that was released in June 13, 1997 in practically the United States. So Hercules is based on a Greek mythology god, and the movie is not accurate at all as the original story. But the movie was pretty good, decent. Not the best Disney movie ever made and released, but it's so decent in my opinion, and better than the modern films that have been released nowadays. And the film was super successful that I ended up getting like anime series spinoff and a stage production. It was reported back in 2020 that they were going to remake the film, and I really thought it's gonna be good. Hopefully, Disney understand that we don't want more live action remakes, or if they actually manage to do it, then they need to do like a good job or a decent job, and don't contract like controversial actors like with Rachel, who honestly like she's like one of the reason why the Snow White remake is hated and was a box office bomb. If she would have be much sure about the criticism that she was receiving, just like with Holly from Little Mermaid, then it would have been a different story. But no, she continued talking, and it got to a point where like people were fed up, and yeah, she's the one who brought all the hate to her. Nobody is hating her because she's entitled, and obviously she has some talent, but she's no Julie Andrews. Anyway, so there is a sequel that was announced. It would have been about Hercules now living in Athens and Megara under dollar heavy. However, when an old friend named Helen is captured by the evil parents of Troy, Hercules joins the United Greek army as they head out to war. However, this war will create revelation, and Hercules finds an old friend who eventually goes missing. The project was cancelled when John Lasseter was named Disney's new chief creative officer in 2006. After which he called off all direct-to-video sequels that Disney had planned. Eventually John Lasseter got fired because of his allegations, and oh my god, how disappointed. Anyway, so Hercules was first released on DVD for limited time on November 9, 1999. Top 12. Mickey's Once Upon a Christmas. Mickey's Once Upon a Christmas is a 1999 direct-to-video Christmas anthology film featuring 3 segments, including Donald Duck and his nephews in Doggone Christmas, Goofy and Max Goof in A Very Goofy Christmas, and Mickey and Minnie Mouse in Gift of the Magi. The stories were introduced by actor Kelsey Grammer. So in some way, the movie was first released on DVD on November 9, 1999. And this is practically the movie that introduced me to Mickey Mouse. I actually own the VHS copy. So yeah, like, the movie is good. Too bad it wasn't released on theaters. Or at least it could have been released on TV, but it didn't happen. And in some way, it could have been released on Disney or on Disney One Saturday morning vlog. on the ABC and Disney Channel. In the year of 2000, the film was part of McDonald's Happy Meal toys as one 6 titles highlighted at the Disney Video Showcase collection. Each toy came as one of the 3 interlocking characters from the film: Mickey Mouse, Minnie Mouse, and Pluto the dog, packaged in a simulated video case. Mickey's Once Upon a Christmas won the award for the Best Animated Feature Film at the 5th Sketch Comet Animation Film Festival. In the year of practically 1999, it was nominated for Outstanding Achievement in the Animated Home Video Production at the 2000 Annie Awards. Top 11. Pinocchio. Pinocchio is a 1940 American animated musical film produced by Walt Disney Productions and released by RKO Radio Pictures, loosely based on Carlo Collodi's 1883 Italian children's novel, The Adventures of Pinocchio. It is the studio's second animated feature film, as well as the third animated film overall produced by an American film studio after Disney's Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs and Fleischer Studios' Gulliver's Travels, a 1939 film. That I recommend you guys to watch because it's actually pretty good too. But anyway, so Pinocchio was first released on DVD in the year of 1999 in October 26. A Disney made-for-television movie titled Geppetto was released in the year of 2000. It was based on a book by David Stern, which was a retelling of the original 1883 original Pinocchio book, but told from Geppetto's perspective. While not a direct adaptation of the 1940 animated film, it featured few common elements such as the character of Figaro, the song I've Got No Strings, and Pleasure Island. It starred Drew Carey as Geppetto and Seth Atkins as Pinocchio, and featured music and lyrics by Stephen Schwartz. The movie was adapted into a musical Disney My Son Pinocchio, Geppetto's musical tale, which premiered at the Coterie Theater in Kansas City, Missouri in the year of 2006. Aside from the Sega Genesis/Mega Drive, Game Boy, and SNES game based on the animated film, the characters appear in several Disney video games. Pinocchio, Jiminy Cricket, Geppetto, Figaro, the Blue Fairy, Honest John, and Stromboli appeared as playable characters in the video game Disney Magic Kingdoms, along with some attractions based on locations of the film. Monstro also appeared temporarily as a non-player character for a boss battle during the limited-time Pinocchio event, in which the characters and material related to the film were included in the game. The characters are involved in new storylines that serve as a continuation of the film. Top 10. Doug's first movie. Doug's first movie, originally called The First Dog Movie Ever, is a 1999 American animated film based on the Disney/Nickelodeon television series Doug. The film was produced by Jumbo Pictures and Buena Vista and was released by Walt Disney Pictures on March 26, 1999. Originally intended as a direct-to-video film, the movie was brought to theaters because of the box office success of the Rugrats movie, released by Paramount in November 1998. In theaters, the Mickey Mouse Works short opera box was shown right before the movie. So, the movie first DVD release was in September 21, 1999. So, about the film, my opinion, it didn't live up to the hype of the
And starting this fall, you
Nickelodeon
can see Doug 7 days a week.
seasons
Catch
or
Doug
see
every
whatever.
Saturday as part of Disney's
Well,
Saturday
it
morning
wasn't
on ABC. And beginning September 99,
that
Doug's on
bad
weekdays and Sundays on UPN.
because
Or check
the
local
movie
TV
actually
listings for time
introduced
and
me to
channels.
Doug.
So the next time you're looking for Doug,
But then again,
any
like,
Doug, you won't have to look far. Disney's Doug.
the movie could have been better, you know. It was also a box office failed. And the Disney seasons are hated because not only of the replacement of the original voice actor of Doug, but also the changes it had, like with new character designs, the new theme song, and as of 2024, the film has still not officially been released on Blu-ray. So practically in some way, this film, along with the Disney Doug seasons, you know, they were released on Disney Plus on November 12th, 2019. So in some way, it's the first day of release. They use a new transfer of the film source from the master print, allowing the end credits to be seen at their intended speed. Top 9, Mighty Joe Young. So Mighty Joe Young is a 1998 Disney family film starring Bill Paxton and Charlize Theron and directed by Ron Underwood. It is a remake of the 1949 RKO Radio Pictures film of the same name. In this version, the ape is much larger than in the original. Joe Young, as a child, witnessed the death of her mother, Ruth Young, and the mother of Joe, a baby gorilla, at the hand of poachers led by Andre Strasser. Strasser loses his right thumb and trigger finger to Joe and swears revenge on Joe for the damage. Before she dies, Ruth tells Joe to take care of Joe, to which Joe agrees. 12 years later, Joe has raised Joe, who, because of a rare genetic anomaly, has grown to the size of 15 feet, 4.6 meters, and weighs 2,000 pounds, 910 kilograms. As a result, the other gorillas won't accept him, and both are living in relative peace until a wildlife refuge director, Greg O'Hara, convinced Joe that they would be safer from poachers if they relocate to the United States. So the film was first released on DVD on March 23, 1999. Top 8, A Bug's Life. A Bug's Life is a 1998 computer animated action adventure comedy drama film produced by Pixar Animation Studios for the Walt Disney Company. And you know, the film was co-directed by Andrew Stanton and John Lasseter. The film is loosely inspired by the fable The Ant and the Grasshopper and the classic Sam Raimi film The Seventh Sam Raimi. It is the second Pixar film and the first Pixar film to be released on DVD in the year of practically April 20th, 1999. So this film is compared a lot with Ants, you know, a DreamWorks film that was released like in some way like the same year. This film is more family friendly in comparison with the other film. Plus this film also has better animation character design. And you know, this is practically one of the most underrated Disney / Pixar films ever made because it doesn't get the praise or attention as Toy Story, Monsters Inc., Finding Nemo, and Incredibles. And in some way, there was a video game release by Game Color, Nintendo 64, Windows, and the PlayStation 1. So in some way, it was also released in 2010 by the PlayStation Store, the PlayStation 3, and the PlayStation Portable. A Bug's Life soundtrack was released in October 27. in 1998. The movie also had some theme park attractions that unfortunately no longer exist. One that was in Disney California Adventure. A nighttime show World of Color features a segment that includes Heimlich, the caterpillar from the film, from 1998 to 2025. Disney's Animal Kingdom included the 3D show It's Tough to Be a Bug, which featured Flick and Hopper from the film. The show also existed at Disney California Adventure from 2001 to 2018. From 2002 to 2018, A Bug's Land was an area of Disney California Adventure that was inspired by the film. Top 7. The Parent Trap, 1998 film. Remake of the 1961 Disney film of the same name. It was directed by Nancy Meyers and stars Dennis Quaid, Natasha Richardson, and Lindsay Lohan in her first feature film debut. It is based on the 1949 German children's novel Lisa and Lottie, written by Eric Hasner. The plot involves a set of twins who have been separated at birth and upon meeting by chance decide to work together to reunite their divorced parents. Principal photography took place in both California and in London, with cinematographer Dion Conde during post-production. Editing was completed by Stephen A. Rother, and the score was composed by Alan Silvestri. The film utilized special effects to make Lohan's door roll seamless, with many shots requiring extensive planning and precise execution during photography and compositing in post-production. The Parent Trap premiered in Los Angeles on July 20th, 1998, before it was directly released in the United States on July 29, 1998 by Walt Disney Pictures. The film was distributed by Buena Vista Picture Distribution and was a box office hit, grossing $92.1 million worldwide against a budget of $15 million. The film received positive reviews from critics, with Lohan's performance in the particular earning high praise. She won the Young Artist Award for Best Performance in a Feature Film, Leading Young Actress at the 20th Yelps in Film Awards in 1999. Lohan's performance in The Parent Trap is widely considered to have been a significant factor in the film's success, making her breakthrough role and launching her to stardom. The film was first released on DVD practically on March 16 in the year of 1999. Top 6. Mr. Magoo. Mr. Magoo is a 1997 live-action comedy film that is based on the original cartoon, that was released in 1949, and the film was produced by Walt Disney Pictures and originally released to theaters in 1997. It starred Leslie Nielsen as the title character. It was produced by Ben Myron and was the first English language film made by Hong Kong director Stanley Tong. It was shot in Iguazu River mouth in Brazil and in Vancouver, Canada. Critical and audience reaction to the movie was not favorable. So the first DVD release of Mr. Magoo was on July 7, 1998. Top 5. Flubber. So Flubber was released on November 26, 1997. Flubber is a remake of the 1961 film, The Absent-Minded Professor. It was produced by Disney, starring Robin Williams and Marcia Gay Harden. While party review, it performed well at the box office. So the film was first released on DVD in the United States on June 16, 1998. Anyway, so my opinion about the remake, like, it's super underrated, So I don't hate it, It is as good as, the original. And I just feel bad that it was critically panned by critics. That's the thing. And honestly, yeah, like I said, the film is super underrated in 90s. One of the most underrated films that's there, the iconic and legendary Robin Williams. Top 4, 100, One Dalmatians, live action remake of the original 1961 animated film of the same name, which both are based on Dodie Smith's 1956 novel, The 101 Dalmatians. It stars Glenn Close as Cruella de Vil and Jeff Daniels as Roger Darling. So practically the film was, released in November 27, 1996. And the first DVD release of the movie was released on April 21, 1998. The 101 Dalmatians remake that was released in the year of 1996. And it's pretty good, pretty accurate, not only to the animated movie, but also to the book. And the most memorable character of the live action remake is Glenn Close's portrayal of Cruella de Vil. This is practically my favorite live action remake from all the live action remakes that have been released. This is actually the closest to not only the original film, but also to the book. And it makes sense that the dog didn't talk because, in real life, obviously, dogs don't talk. And you guys know already, or some of you guys know already, that this movie had like a standalone sequel. But it wasn't that good. The best thing from the sequel was that Glenn Close reprised her role. Jeff Daniels, Jodie Richardson didn't reprise her role. And especially not Joan Plowright. She practically died, apparently, earlier this year. How sad. Not about the Emma Stone movie, to be real, it wasn't that good either. Why does every villain need to have an origin story? It's like giving them excuse of being evil. It doesn't make sense, honestly. Top 3. Mary Poppins. Mary Poppins is a 1964 release in August 27 in Los Angeles, California. So the first DVD release of the film was in March 20th, 1998. So the film is iconic and is what made Julie Andrews into a movie star. The other thing that the creator of the story actually hated the film. She didn't want the film to be made into a musical. And anyway, so the story is about of Winifred Binks returned to her home in Georgian London after a suffragette rally and learns that her children Jane and Michael have run away for the fourth time this week, which prompted the nanny, Katie Nanny, to quit her job. The night Winifred Drake and Ambitious husband George returned home from his job at the bank and places a newspaper advertising for a stern, no-nonsense nanny. Jane and Michael present their own advertisement for a kind, sympathetic nanny, but George rips the letter and throws the scraps in the fireplace. A strong wind throws the scraps up through the chimney and into the sky. The next day, several sore-faced nannies await outside the Bank family's home, but the strong gust of wind magically blows them away. Jane and Michael then witness a young woman floating down from the sky, and in some way was obviously Mary Poppins. The movie itself is one of the most iconic Disney movies of all time. It's been parodied and referenced like many times on television, like in the Guardians of Galaxy Volume 2, The Boss Baby, The Simpsons, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, House of Mouse, Once Upon a Studio, and there have even been some merch released, like some collectible dolls. And honestly, I believe the movie needs to be re-released on theaters. Like in the old days, what Disney used to do with their classics, but they don't do it anymore. And today, they remake or come out with unnecessary sequels and destroy the legacy of the originals. Top 2. Air Bud. Air Bud is a 1997 sports comedy drama film directed by Charles Martin Smith, an international co-production of the United States and Canada. The film stars Kevin Zegers as a young boy who befriends a runaway golden retriever portrayed by Buddy with a unique ability to play basketball. Air Bud received mixed reviews but was a commercial success, grossing $4 million in its opening weekend and totally $27 million in its run against an estimated $3 million budget. It was followed by a direct sequel, Air Bud Golden Receiver, in 1998, and spawned a film franchise that includes the spin-off series Air Buddies. The film's first DVD release was on February 3, 1998. So now about the film is actually iconic and memorable. The 2003 film, like, oh my god. And they replaced Andrea, like, yeah, people hated that. I don't know why they did that. I believe she was like 1 year older or 1 year younger. I'm not even sure. The replacement actress was born in 1988, and Caitlin Walsh was born in 1989. So I never found out why was she replaced. All because she was working on the TV show Family Affair at the time. So the dog was practically like a real life dog actor. And so I'm gonna check his film appearance. So he only acted in the first Air Bud movie. He also acted on Full House for like one episode. And he practically died in February 10, 1998 of cancer. And he was like only 9 years old. And for the sequels of the movie, obviously the Walt Disney Company used other dogs. Top 1, George of the Jungle. So practically George of the Jungle is a 1997 live-action film released by Walt Disney Pictures. It was inspired by the 1960 animated series of the same name by the DreamWorks Studios and starred Brendan Fraser in the title role. A sequel, George of the Jungle 2, was, released years afterwards, but with Brendan Fraser not reprising his role. So about the movie, pretty decent. There are some adult jokes on the movie, and the first DVD release of the movie was in December 2, 1997. So marking the first Disney film ever released on DVD. It's just so bad that there's only like 2 live action movies of George of the Jungle. So George of the Jungle practically like is like a parody of Tarzan. Also, and Tommy Fraser had concurrently auditioned for the title role of Tarzan of the animated movie, but Tony Goldwyn ended up getting the role instead. I think Brendan Fraser would have done a great job, but Tony, like, honestly, like, his voiceover was super iconic that not even the one who replaced him for like the sequels or the animated spin-offs were as good as him. It's the same thing with Brendan Fraser's portrayal of George. Like, the other actor who portrayed him in the sequel did a good job as him. Sure, he wasn't completely bad, but then again, the sequel like suffered from a lot of bad stuff. Anyway, so that was all, folks. I hope you guys share and like the video, and don't forget to follow me on all my social media accounts.